Welcome to the new sound of online radio. Welcome to the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network. 'Cause you make me feel like I've been locked out of hell. A mix of today's hits and hard-to-find favorites, combined with the most entertaining and intriguing talk anywhere. This is your sound. This is the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at UBNradio.com.
She's passionate about telling stories of amazing women who are rocking the world and empowering women to live, love, and thrive. Here's your host, Katherine Gray.
Hi, welcome to Live, Love, Thrive Women's Empowerment Hour, brought to you by 360karma.com. We're so happy to have you with us today, and we hope you're joining the empowerment conversation with us on 360karma.com and on our Facebook, and of course, following us on Instagram and Twitter at My360Karma. Today, we have on two amazing ladies. They are from NABO, which is the National Association of Women Business Owners. We're going to find out how you can become part of that. So please give a warm welcome to Schenae Rourk and Deborah Snyder. Hi, ladies.
Well, hello, Katherine.
So happy to have you both here.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
You both have amazing stories. Schenae, I know you're the president of NABO LA.
Correct.
And we have the website up, of course, nabola.org, so people can find out about it. And then Deborah, my dear friend of over 10 years, you are the national director of membership.
Yes.
For NABO.
Yes.
So NABO has like 60 some chapters, is it? Or
It's actually now I think over 50 chapters.
Over 50
throughout
chapters.
the country.
Beautiful.
And so always connecting the dots of what it means to be a national organization, and one of the benefits is having then that local experience as well.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, I've been to some of your events, and they are fun, and they are amazing, and they are full of great energy, successful women. Mm-hmm. And that's what I love about your organization, which is why I just re-upped my membership.
So she's official, everybody.
Yeah,
She's
yep.
part of the NABO sisterhood.
That's
so
right,
we're
baby.
happy about that. So thank you.
Always been. We brought you
Yeah,
back.
that's
Yeah.
right. Exactly.
And I've always been a women entrepreneur for the past couple of decades, and it does really benefit us to have community organizations like this to support us with resources, with cheerleading, with just accountability and support. And it's a perfect tie-in to 360 Karma because that's what we're all about: is helping women to find the right resources and people that are like-minded for them to participate in and
I don't think we have to say
with.
anything else. Katherine is doing a great job. You clearly, and that's our mission and vision, right,
Yeah.
within the organization.
Yeah.
And the other analogy that we like to use, our Susan Hager, who was our founding mother of the organization, said, get a seat at the table. Build your own table, but make sure to include other women there. And so that's what we've been doing for women business owners for now over 40 years, is making sure that we have a seat at the table. And that means a lot of different things as far as advocacy, education, empowerment, building that community of support like you just said.
Right.
So
and over 40 years, that's amazing because, becoming a woman business owner 40 years ago was really kind of unheard of, wasn't it? I mean,
can I share one obstacle?
sure.
So, and I'm sure obviously Schenae knows this as well, because we just are now celebrating the 30th anniversary of HR 5050. So this was a piece of legislature that took place back in the late 80s. I'll say it again, late 80s, because one of the many
I wasn't
obstacles.
around then.
Right.
Me either.
We all remember the late 80s, but for a variety of reasons.
Disco
But when it comes to
dancing.
women business owners, they couldn't get financing unless they had a male co-signer.
Unbelievable.
So
couldn't
now,
even get a credit card.
Yeah. So it could
Yeah.
be, their stepson, their
Yeah.
ex-husband, or somebody. And so NABO was very influential in making sure that obstacle removed. And then, of course, that opened up the doors for so many other opportunities.
And don't you think so many young women today, if you tell them, there was a time you couldn't get a credit card.
They don't believe me.
Yeah,
I tell them that all the time.
I think
They're like,
they
"What
think
are you
it's a
talking about?"
fantasy.
Yeah.
But wasn't NABO instrumental in helping women be able to get a credit card? I think they
Yes,
I read that.
It's all connected.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
through HR 50. Yeah.
yeah, wow. So, but I think also our listeners are like, well, who are these two amazing women and how did they get to be the president and the national director of such an amazing organization? And so you both shared your stories with me, and I always appreciate when successful women tell me about their struggle to get where they are, because I always think there's people out there listening that say, that's my story. And if they can do it, so can I. I kind of get goosebumps when I even talk about this.
Absolutely.
So, Deborah, you had shared with me, when you had your daughter, that you had a major medical challenge where you had a collapsed lung. And, I think it's interesting when we all know each other, sometimes we don't know people's backstory. So that's the first I had heard you tell me that story. Like, who knew that that's something you went through, not only once, but twice in your life, right?
Yeah, I was so lucky to
It's a
have that
genetic
happen
thing?
twice. Yeah. So obviously, as business owners, I mean, there's a variety of hats in which we wear, and so it's that integration piece. And so, being a new mom and then having a health challenge, that's humbling in itself.
Right.
And so that definitely, I think, gives you perspective. Of what's important, and then starts to align then a path for you to live your true self.
Right. And you've always been this little beam of light. And I imagine from what you're telling me that health issue actually impacted your whole perception of life to be even more in gratitude and more grateful, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Which is so strange how sometimes these beautiful things come out of these challenges that we are
Absolutely.
given. And I find that that's really most of the time. And, everybody in life, every successful businesswoman has had challenges. And I know you even mentioned going through the bankruptcy thing, which I think is something that a lot of people go through, but they won't talk about. And so just the authenticity and the sharing is really important, because other people then say, oh, wow, I went through that too. And look, people do rebound from it. And
I think that's the unique community that NABO has, is that we talk about peer-to-peer support, but also that safe environment in which we can be vulnerable and we can share. And so maybe some of you didn't know, but I was a business owner, and that's how I got involved in NABO. And so that was a blessing, of course, because then here I am, however many years later, being able to live vicariously through other women business owners. But part of what I experienced in being a business owner was the challenge of having a business partner, personally guaranteeing, which I wouldn't recommend, by the way, when it comes to financing your business. And then that pushed us into bankruptcy.
Right.
So, but we recover, we become stronger as a result of it. And then to share, once again, what you said, that there's a lot of different paths that you can take, and then becoming smarter as a result of it. So
definitely. And I always say it's not how many times you fall down, it's how many times you get up.
Get up. That's right.
It's so true. And but I think what helps us get up is being surrounded by other strong women that are there cheering you on and giving you assistance. And that's why I think it's important for people not to isolate when they're a business owner, but to get out and network with whatever group they feel speaks to them. There's a lot of amazing women's groups out there.
Absolutely.
And we just need to tap into what I call our people. And you have to find your people, people that have similar values, similar ideals, and that's who you align with and get involved with, right?
Sure.
So, Schenae, your journey to becoming the president of the NABO LA chapter is an amazing one. You told me about immigrating here from South Korea.
Correct. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I just have such respect for someone that comes from another country and comes and starts over. You came without your family, and what a courageous woman. I mean, And look at you now. You have a successful business and you're the president of the chapter.
Right.
And I'd love you to tell us a little bit about that journey here. And obviously, South Korea, North Korea, it's a whole big hot button right now. So
yeah.
I'd love to hear your perspective on that.
Oh, that would
Yeah.
be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I did come to America with my family. I was about 2, very young, and then migrated across the country to California without family and by myself, really knowing that there was a better place for me than in the South, in South Carolina, on a urban farm.
So they migrated here with
Yes.
you, but then you left and came cross country.
I came across country.
Gotcha.
As soon as I got old enough to drive and leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I came across country, settled in Sacramento,
Yeah.
and then went to Oakland, and then got married and moved down to L.A., ran across NABO LA, ran across this wonderful woman as part of membership in NABO LA. It's where I first met Deborah
That was
many
part
years
of my
ago.
roots, yes, part of NABO LA.
We love it. And just, I love the organization. I love what we stand for. And I think for me, it was really about, there's a book that I read, and everyone should get this book called The Go-Giver. And it was at a strategic meeting with one of my clients, and that book set me on a course to be a servant leader with NABO LA.
Wow. So go giver instead of go getter.
Go-giver.
I
Go-giver.
love it. I
Yeah.
love that.
It's a great book.
So what made you come across country? You were, was it a love interest or?
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, my parents are deceased, so I guess I can say now.
Because they didn't know
They
that.
did not know. At the time, they thought I was coming across country with Mary, who was my friend, but it was really Jeffrey, who was my then boyfriend, who got a job in Sacramento.
Yeah.
And it was a great opportunity for me. I leveraged the opportunity, which us as entrepreneurs always do, find an opportunity and leverage it, and came across country.
I love it.
Yeah.
And so you came out here as a love interest, but then when he moved away, you then came to LA, I believe. Or,
Yeah,
or
well, I
somewhere-
got married.
somewhere
Well,
along
yes,
there?
I stayed in California. He ended up getting a job transfer to Michigan, and that was not where I wanted to go. Michigan, too cold for me. So I stayed.
But we have a great chapter there. Hello.
Yeah, I was going to say we're not going to diss Michigan.
That's great for Michigan. I knew I needed to be. I knew I needed to stay in California. So
Yeah.
he could have probably gone anywhere, Hawaii even, and I think I would have just said no.
You were
my
feeling
roots,
it.
My
Yeah.
roots are here. I feel grounded
Yeah.
in California. It's my
Now,
new home.
at that time, you were working for a company.
Mm-hmm.
So, what made you decide to venture out and start your own company? And what does that company do now? It's fascinating.
Yeah. So I think I've always been an entrepreneur, and just always sold something on the side when I was working somewhere else. There was always something for me. And then one day I remember emphatically
As
sitting.
long as it was legal, okay.
Yeah. yes. Exactly. Always
Sold
legal.
something on the side.
Always,
You can interpret that any way you want.
always legal, guys. But I remember one day sitting in one of the rooms in my home and saying that I needed to make this move. I was working as a consultant, and I came across my email, which is FTFADIA, which is feel the fear and do it anyway.
Oh, I love
and
that.
I made the leap to entrepreneurism, which is a big wall. If you're getting paid well and you're traveling and you don't have to worry about anything, you get all your expenses paid. It's a big leap. And it's a big barrier for a lot of people to cross.
Sure.
But I did that, and once I did that, I would never ever go back because
A lot of people say that
Yeah.
once they have the freedom of being a entrepreneur, but I say freedom in quotes because there's also the freedom to work 7 days a week and
Yeah, there's not necessarily freedom.
12 hours a day.
You're choosing to work all the time,
Right.
basically, as
Right.
an entrepreneur, but yes.
But it's
Exactly.
at least something you love and it's your own baby. And that's why I think people are fine with being dedicated to it. Although I'm a big believer in being an entrepreneur that has balance. And finding that balance in your life, like not letting it be all consuming. I think initially in the first year or two to get something off the ground, it kind of has to be everything you eat, live, and breathe. But eventually to get it in a place where you have the balance of, taking care of yourself physically, your family, your friends, having fun. I always think it's so important every day to do something that just makes your heart sing, but over and above your business, which should be making your heart sing too. But yeah. So what does your business do exactly?
Sure. So we're a procurement specialist, and we help leverage certifications for minority or women-owned firms and help them to get public agency contracts or corporate contracts. And then on the larger side, for larger institutions, we help them develop mentor protege or youth engagement programs, capacity building.
So in layperson's terms, in case somebody didn't understand one word of what you just said. So let's say somebody owns, let's say they do website development or social media, let's say. They would come to you and you would get them like a government contract or something like that?
Sure.
So like let's give an example.
Yeah, so if they had social media, for instance, which is really hot right now, a lot of people, technology is so important.
Yeah.
We would identify who would be the best client for them and do strategies around that, whether it's really targeting a corporate client or a governmental agency or public transportation agency. All of them will buy those products and services. And in fact, most of these entities out there will buy mostly everything. I mean, I think even the state here buys rats for, they buy rats. I think maybe not hairspray.
Why? We have enough of them in government anyway.
I'm not commenting on that.
NABO is
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist that. I couldn't resist that joke.
To mention that. Okay. I'm the balance. I'm literally in between the two of you right now.
Which is
anyway, okay, good.
You know me, I just say whatever.
Well, and I think to your point, so I love to throw out statistics.
Yeah.
Okay, so I need to throw out another stat, and is that for our women business owners, so we have over 10 million. I don't know if we mentioned that.
Right.
And with that, though, only 3% of them have gross revenue of 1 million or higher. So there's this huge gap that's taking place. And so what Schenae does is help build capacity.
I
There's a
love
lot
that.
of opportunities out there. And that's what NABO does as well, is that we give you the tools and resources so that if you want to build an empire, you will have the tools and resources to build an empire.
Right.
And that is what is evolving in our country. And I have I don't memorize some of these. But by the way, the other thing about women business owners, and if you're a woman business owner, you should be proud of this because you're part of this stat. 8.9 million people are employed by women business owners.
Wonderful.
And we generate 1.6 trillion in sales.
I love
so
it.
we're a force to be reckoned with.
You know, when people talk about investing in women businesses, which, you know, I'm a big proponent of that because women do get less than 5% of venture capital funding, which means men get 95% of the funding. But the interesting thing is that women businesses tend to be more successful. So actually, they should be getting more investment dollars. I don't know why that is that they're more successful when you look at startups, but maybe it's just they try a little harder because we're the underdog, you know? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I think that oftentimes what happens as a woman business owner, and it's hard to make these generalizations,
Sure.
but at the same time, there's the statement of we don't know what we don't know. There's the statement of not necessarily worried about asking for help. And that comes with
that's
access
a
to
huge
capital.
one. Huge one.
That kind of goes with we don't know what we don't know. So there's a combination of which comes first. And so therefore, if we don't ask, we're not going to know. And I think that's our goal, is that there's a lot of different ways to get funding out there and to educate those different opportunities, and that it's available and you don't have to go through the pain that I went through and go through bankruptcy in the process. So yeah.
And you know, you mentioned certification, and a lot of women don't know that, you know, if they're a woman-owned business or a minority-owned business, that they can get certified and get clients through that as well. Yeah.
It's an opening of the doors. I tell people it's almost like a degree, a graduate degree. It gets you into the door. It doesn't mean it gets you the job or the opportunity, but at least you get it into the door, which is really a great strategy for a lot of businesses.
Yeah, we've got to at least get in the door to even possibly have it happen, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I've been taking this course, Andrea Quinn, that is just, I feel, life-changing. And one of the things that she's really brought to the forefront for my groups is that exactly what you just said. Women, what holds them back is they don't ask. And then the second one is they don't allow themselves to receive. So even when they do ask, they don't often let it in. And I know that's like hard to understand that concept, but women are not good at either one of those two things. Men, on the other hand, will ask, you know, fearlessly and receive no problem, you know.
Absolutely.
So it is something we need to work on. And, you know, that's what I love about environments like yours is teaching people to be better at that, you know.
I think it is a mindset that we have as women. And there's a book that I'm reading now called Better Together, which is really a great book about gender parity on corporate boards and in other areas. There are studies that show, like Credit Suisse, American Express, have shown that women, when they're in these leadership roles, increase the ROI for any of these companies. So for public companies, why wouldn't you want to increase your ROI with having women in your leadership? And that's one of the things that we're here at NAWBO LA. We're here advocating for SB 826, which is a bill that's currently at the Senate. It was brought on by NAWBO California, and NAWBO LA strongly supports this bill. And it's going through the whole process. It's now going to the Appropriations Committee on the Senate side. It'll then go to the Assembly. Once this passes, and we will work hard to make sure this passes in California, it can make significant changes throughout the nation. So we're really excited about that.
And what would those specific changes be?
Getting more women on corporate boards.
I love it.
Yeah.
So there'd be a mandate?
There would be a mandate. We've asked, so there's a resolution 5 years ago in California.
Right.
Hey, we would like you to consider. It would be great if you would. And
They call it a mandate, by the way, and I call it a woman date.
right. Yeah, I like that.
That's funny. I know we always have to put the woman into it. Yeah, I agree.
Woman date. Yeah, it's like mansplaining, right? Mansplaining. So, yes, it would be 3 women in the next 3 or 4 years on your corporate board. It doesn't mean you replace them. You can add them. You don't have to replace someone who's currently on there.
Right. You know, I had this conversation. I was doing a coffee talk the other day with a famous director, and the conversation was women's empowerment. And he was saying, you know, he's a male director and that he didn't think it was right for a movie to have some sort of quota that it should have a woman director. But I was explaining to him that that you know, for so many years all these movies are made just by men directors, and that there needs to be some sort of quota in order for them to fill it, not with just any woman, but with all this pool of talented women that are sitting on the sidelines. And and you know, people might be opposed to this mandate that you're talking about for that reason. You know, how people think, oh, well, there shouldn't be any type of quota. But if you don't put something like that into place, then it will never change.
It won't. Look at HR 5050, as she said. It would not have changed. We would still be going to our children, or male children, or ex-husbands, as she said, to ask, please sign this loan for my business.
Right.
We would still be doing that. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, the work you're all doing is amazing. I'm excited about that bill.
Yes.
Do you, as we're wrapping up, do you have any stories you'd like to share with us about, like, one of your members that came in not really just getting their business started and aligning with NABO, that is a success story today that we could talk about?
So from a national standpoint, here's another stat for you. So within NABO, for those that self-report, we have 28% that have gross revenue of $1 million or higher. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of success happening within the organization. And so we ended up developing a national program called the NABO Circle. So because your needs change as your business grows. Mm-hmm. And this program is growing quite a bit. And the women in this group are anywhere between 15 million, 40 million, billion. I mean, it's unbelievable the amount of success that's out there.
And a lot of these women attribute it to being part of NABO and the training and resources.
That's the whole thing, is that we didn't want them to say they graduated from NABO, and that we still had a place to support them and help them and continue their success. So most women there's so many. I mean, I'm thinking thousands and thousands of members.
Exactly.
Right.
That's a great goal to have.
Yeah, it is a good goal, and we want you to be there.
That's
it. And celebrate your success. So there is a lot. I think that oftentimes I hear there's some general statements. Joining NABO was the best business decision that I could make. Mm-hmm. And the other thing that I hear is that just being part of a community where they get you're crazy. They get you.
Yeah.
I mean, being an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
you kind of have to have a little of
Yeah.
everything to
Yeah.
be that gutsy and to go for it.
Absolutely.
And so as a result, the relationships,
Yeah.
We talk about that, but really that connection that's taking place is so powerful. It's hard to really
Right.
be able to
Yeah.
but there's so many stories. Like, can we do another show?
Yeah.
I'd love to do another
Exactly.
show and tell you the stories. I mean, but I know I want to first of all thank Schenae because I do this because this is what I do for a living, and I'm very passionate about empowering women, just like you, Catherine. But Schenae is a volunteer, and so I just want to thank you for your service and what you do for the organization. And that's what this organization is about, is that grassroots effort of women running their businesses and then helping us at the local level running chapters. And
love
it
that.
makes it so unique. So
And you
thank
guys have some really amazing and cool gatherings all throughout the year. Not only monthly ones, but some big ones like the Legacy Luncheon coming up,
Right,
Which
yes.
is always in
May or June.
May or
every
June.
year.
May or June, and it's coming up. What's the date? May 18th.
May 18th. It's our
and
32nd annual.
down at the JW
JW
Marriott.
Marriott.
Right. I know I'll be there.
Good.
And you'll be celebrating some amazing, incredible women that are very successful. I saw one was getting an award that actually created and manufactured an organic bug repellent.
Yes.
I mean, that she actually created out of her own need for something that wasn't, poisonous. And so that's just one of the success stories I've heard come out of NAWBO. There's this amazing woman, and you guys will be honoring her on May 18th. And then you also have other big events throughout the year.
So nationally, there's all sorts of ways to connect those dots. So
Yeah.
whether it's our annual conference that we have every year,
Right,
we
and
move
that
around
brings people from
different
all over
cities,
the
all
country,
over,
right?
Over 1,000
Yeah.
women and great keynote speakers will be in Spokane this year in September. All the information is on the NABO.org website under events. You can find all the information there. We have Advocacy Day that we always do in June. That's coming up on June 19th. So there's always ways to not only have that local experience, but the national experience, and then connect with everyone,
Right.
and continue to live out our mission to empower, educate, propel, and build that community.
Well, that's exactly what y'all are doing, so it's a good explanation. And for those listening but not watching, NAWBO is NAWBO.LA.org, and then the national organization is just NAWBO.org.
Yep.
Yeah, and I like the fact that you guys are local, but you have that national reach. And we'll just keep doing this amazing work. I'm so happy to know about NAWBO and know the both of you and have you on today and to tell the world about all the good work you're doing so that people can become affiliated with it and help grow their business.
Well, thank you for having us.
Yes,
And
thank you so
we
much.
really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, be sure to check out NABOLA.org or NABO.org. And thank you so much for tuning in. Make it a great week. Talk to you soon. See you next week on Wednesday at noon. And hugs and happiness. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Hugs and happiness.
You're a woman,
and a business owner.
which means your to-do list has at least 30 things on it.
And that's just before breakfast. Your company is your family, and your family, better or worse, rich or poor, becomes part of your company.
You have no time, and yet you find it.
To listen, give, advise.
Volunteer and lead.
We get it.
Know why?
We're just like you.
Know why? We're NAWBO.
We have over 40 years of paving the way for women business owners.
If you have a credit card that you didn't have to have your uncle co-sign for you,
You can thank the pioneering women of NAWBO who changed history in the 70s.
And are still changing it today.
We're on the front lines of real business issues in the U.S. and around the world.
We are smart, dedicated, experienced women who care about their companies and their communities.
We launch startups, and we've seen those startup companies become grown-up companies worth millions of dollars in revenue.
We share knowledge and resources and high fives.
whether you've just started a business or are running a successful company, we help take you to the next level.
By connecting you with other women business owners, giving you opportunities to lead your chapter,
having a voice at the national level, being supported by sponsors who value your business,
leaving an inspiring legacy for women everywhere, and we even help you tackle that to-do list.
Our vision is big, and we need you to be a part of it.